The 2025 NFL draft class of running backs looks to be historic. But one player stands above the rest, just like he looms pre-snap in the backfield. Boise State's Ashton Jeanty. The high school track and field standout turned Group of Five legend has proven that he's got all the attributes to succeed at the next level. This episode of Top Prospects is presented by Robert Half. Going up against a singular talent in Travis Hunter, Jeanty was so good in 2024 that he still almost won the Heisman. As a matter of fact, no runner-up has ever secured more Heisman points than Jeanty did. 2,601 rushing yards and 30 total touchdowns speak for themselves. But the context is even wilder. Cam Scadaboo finished 890 yards back of Jeanty at 1,711 yards for second in the FBS. Jeanty had 1,733 yards after contact. You could take away every yard Jeanty got before someone got a hand on him, and he still would have led the nation. And getting a hand on him in the first place was a challenge. He forced 126 missed tackles, again, most in the FBS. Sure, you can talk about the volume of Ashton Jeanty's carries this past season, but his contact balance, power, and breakaway speed make him, in my eyes, a cut above the rest of every other back in this class. Let's take a look at the tape. All right, let's go to the Wayback Files here. 2022 against Wyoming, a big game in this region, big game within this conference, and it's going to take 11 defenders to tackle Ashton Jeanty. And one thing that you have to remind yourself when you're facing off against the guy who wore number 2 in college is you better play until the player is down and the whistle has been blown. This should be a negative play that turns into a positive play. Not all runs that are less than 10 total yards are created equally. Here's an example of why. All right, so you run it and bam. What happens? He's been met by the defensive player 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. This should be a tackle. This play looks like it is going to be over. And perhaps as a result of that, you've got these guys, 1, 2, 3, who are all kind of saying to themselves, maybe this play is over, but it's never over when you're facing off against Ashton Jeanty, who finds his way to work his way out of the grass and then turns again what should be a negative 2-yard run, maybe even a negative 3-yard run into a positive gain. And I love this at the end. You're going to see kind of the fluidity here from Ashton Jeanty. It's not just the power. It's, watch this. There's a defender. He's going to we talk about the ability to jump cut, which is often something that we talk about for running backs when they're in sort of the initial portion of the run. Can you jump cut from one gap to the other? Sometimes you can jump cut and just make a defender look foolish on the perimeter. Here's a good example of that. This guy coming down to make a tackle. Whoop. No such luck against Ashton Jeanty. Nearly a first down run on a play that should have set up about 2nd and 12, which you can see it here clean once again. And just sort of count all the defenders that have a chance at some point to make a tackle here on Ashton Jeanty. You're number 1 right there. Okay, no such luck. Boom. All right, here's number 2 right here. And 3, 4, maybe even 5 is saying to himself. So this would be 5, I guess, in total. Hey, we got a chance to bring this guy down, right? The answer is not so much. And then my favorite portion of the play, watch this, is the very end. The opportunity to make a tackle. Nope. Just sort of effortlessly moves those hips. Next thing you know, nearly a first down. All right, here we go. This is 2023 from Ashton Jeanty. Another example of you better make sure this guy is down before you give up hope. And I talked about this with Travis Hunter. If you haven't had the chance to check out the video, please do so. But there are some guys that don't look like they are running that hard when they are actually running that hard. Here's a good testament to Ashton Jeanty and his ability to do so. Ashton Jeanty is a 32-team fit. He can find his way in any scheme, but you're going to see this early on here is the idea of a zone running scheme is this, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds on offensive line play, but these guys are basically just blocking down. They are more so concerned about an area than they are a specific defensive player that they have the assignment on. What Ashton Jeanty is going to do is going to press up to the hole, and when he finds daylight, he's got to hit it. But zone running schemes, it is predicated upon being decisive as a runner, because there may not be a long time that a hole opens up, and if you wait, these defensive players are shooting gaps, you might be tackled for a loss. So watch the decisiveness there. Bam, we're hitting this, and we're working all the way back because of the flow of this offensive line. You got all these guys that are washing defensive players down. What does that create? A massive running lane here for Ashton Jeanty, who puts on the Jets. I'm not even sure. It looks like he's putting on the Jets, but watch this guy here who's got a chance to make a tackle. Like, in the open field, if you've got a chance to load up on Ashton Jeanty, you're going to take it and then just boom. He just runs right through these guys as if nothing has happened. An effortless runner who, again, several players have a chance to make a play on Ashton Jeanty. He turns it into a big, long run. All right, now we're at 2024. This is the signature year for Ashton Jeanty, the 30 total touchdowns. And again, I talked about how you got to have some decisiveness, look at his way to kind of navigate through traffic in the hole. And then does it look like he is straining when he is running right here? House call for Ashton Jeanty, who did not run a 40 during the pre-draft process. We'll see whether it matters. I'm convinced it doesn't. But the opportunity here to put a foot in the ground and find daylight is what is going to appeal for teams that do have a zone running scheme, even though, as I said previously, this guy fits into any kind of running scheme because he has great power as well. You're going to see a defensive player kind of just grasp at Ashton Jeanty. It's not going to work. You can't get a hand on Ashton Jeanty and expect him to do anything other than take it to the house. You find a statistical category from last year in the rushing department, and pretty much Ashton Jeanty led all FBS running backs in every single important one. I think what I like most about this run is the agility. When you're evaluating running backs, one of the things you're doing is what yards does a running back get based off the blocking versus what yards does he get beyond the blocking. Not bad blocking here. There's plenty of room to work with. Watch him make defenders miss in or near the hole. Right here, number 6, not happening. Number 29, no chance. Better take a better angle than that. I mean, 29 is thinking to himself right now, all right, I got an angle on Ashton Jeanty here, right? I can make this tackle. Nope, gonna have to be a whole lot better and more decisive than that. Just making defenders miss left and right. He had 88 broken tackles last season, and he turned on the Jets. See it one more time here, clean from Ashton Jeanty on that big long run. You can see how effortless he makes it look from the 50-plus yard line out. One more play here, and I'm telling you, you're going to see this play from Ashton Jeanty, and I'm going to pause it at a certain point. I'm going to ask you whether you think Ashton Jeanty is going to score a touchdown, because about here, is Ashton Jeanty going to score when you've got, let's see, here, you got defenders over here, going to be bearing down here in a second. Is Ashton Jeanty going to find a way to the end zone? There's got this lane right here, but there's 2 defenders right here. Nope. Neither of those lanes are going to matter to Ashton Jeanty, because watch that spin move. That is a thing of beauty right here. You got a defender squared up to make a tackle, and boom, he just brushes right by him, breaks through arm tackles later on in the play, and finds a way to daylight one more time. So just go back and watch. When it looks like there's an opportunity for a tackle to be made by a defensive player, these should be, it's a big gain, no doubt, but this should not be a touchdown. If you are playing defense against Ashton Jeanty and a play like this results in a touchdown, it is backbreaking, it is soul-crushing. It is the kind of thing that makes you wonder whether you have any chance against this incredible prospect. The answer is no. Again, just finds his way into the end zone. Looks like he is just doing so casually. Nope, nothing casual about Ashton Jeanty's game. For those of you out there that love the video games, that right there is a Madden-level spin move from Ashton Jeanty. 30 touchdowns last season for Ashton Jeanty. He might not get there as a rookie in the NFL, but this guy has got a pro-ready game. One of the debates that we will have leading up to every draft is whether a team really should use a premium pick on a running back. That debate will inevitably rage on, as teams have shown themselves capable of finding backs in later rounds. No Boise State player has been drafted higher than Ryan Clady at pick 12 back in 2008. But with a skill set that gives him a chance of becoming a Pro Bowl player as soon as his rookie season, there is no debate about this. Ashton Jeanty is one of the best players in the entire 2025 NFL Draft. This episode of Top Prospects is presented by Robert Half. At Robert Half, we know talent.